Willkommen zu einem neuen Video. Heute spielen wir mal ein anderes Spiel, was ich jetzt habe. Und zwar ist Stanley Parabel Ultra Deluxe. Ich habe das selber noch nie gespielt, aber nur so Videos von gesehen, die aber auch schon älter sind.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ja, das ist auch schon so, was ich gerade eigentlich noch sagen wollte. Der Mann, der hier offensichtlich so erzählt, was wir machen. Wir können ihm so folgen, indem wir das machen, was er sagt, aber halt auch andere Richtungen so gehen. Das spielt, glaube ich, verschiedene Endings und alles. Und wir machen jetzt einfach erstmal das, was er sagt.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ja. So, dann gucken wir mal weiter. Okay. Ich glaube, beim ersten Mal müssen wir ihm so oder so folgen. Kann es erst in den nächsten, also in den darauffolgenden Versuchen anders, glaube ich, machen. Weil sich immer was verändert.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Und hier beginnt das auch schon. Wir können es links lang gehen, wie er sagt, oder einfach rechts lang gehen. Wir machen aber erstmal so, wie er sagt. So. This meeting
Yet there was
room.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ich finde es auch schön, dass sich das einfach wechselt, obwohl niemand da ist.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay, dann laufen wir mal hoch.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ja, weil er uns das jetzt gesagt hat, wissen wir es natürlich. Dann probieren wir es auch mal aus. Wo? Hinterm...
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ja.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Wir folgen ihm, wie gesagt, einfach erstmal.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Okay.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature
Der wurde
revealed.
gefeuert.
Each
Der
bore
auch.
the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Oh, ich habe vergessen, welche Nummer wir sind. Naja.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ich habe es gerade eigentlich tatsächlich vergessen mitzulesen. Aber okay. Ich will den roten Knopf drücken. Den großen roten Knopf. Oder den hier. 5. Das ist auch noch einer. Ich weiß nicht, was er gesagt hat. Wir gehen einfach erstmal weiter.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Oh, man kann hier bestimmt auch zurückgehen. Aber wir gehen
Stanley
einfach.
felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ja, das ging schnell. Also wir haben es einmal jetzt schon durchgespielt. Und jetzt sind wir eben wieder hier.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-worker. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Ja, das mit den Antippen hat auch was gemacht. Okay. Dann gucken wir mal weiter. Input. Das glaube ich, die ist lila, ne? Ach, gehört das mit zu nach da unten?
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Warte mal kurz, das muss ich mir merken. So, müssen wir mal nach anderen Farben noch suchen.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ja, wir gehen wieder erstmal links. Gucken, hier erstmal noch weiter.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Das habe ich tatsächlich auch schon mal gesehen. Man muss ja einfach länger drinnen
There was
bleiben.
nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Ich finde hier auch einfach in dem Spiel schön, dass sich die Geschichte anpasst von dem, was man tut.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed in front of your screen. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Spricht ja schon uns an. Ich bleib mal hier. Okay.
Second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Ich stand da gerade noch ein bisschen drin, da kam nichts.
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Okay, dann gehen wir jetzt weiter.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Warum sollte man hier ins Badezimmer gehen können? Okay. Hier kann man auch noch rein. Ja, wir machen aber hier gerade erst nochmal.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ich hatte auch gerade eben gesehen, wo ich da ein bisschen im Abstellkammer saß, dass wir Raum 430 wohl 5-mal antippen müssen. Das machen wir gleich auch mal im nächsten Lauf.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ja, hier sehen wir uns dann einfach am Ende da wieder, wenn ich eine andere Entscheidung treffe. Also eigentlich ganz am Ende.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
So, hier sind wir wieder. Und hier mache ich jetzt die andere Möglichkeit, die es auch noch gab.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I
Oh,
will
ich wusste nicht, dass
laugh
hier
at every
hingehen
second of your
kann.
inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Ja gut, ich dachte, ich musste einfach so warten und nicht da zurückgehen, aber da war die Uhr ja auch. Naja.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the trophy? Click a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks? Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
Aha. Da sind es doch keine 5 Klicks, die wir machen müssen.
No. I'm still not feeling it. I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost.
Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
20 Mal auf die Tür 417. Das müssen wir auch noch wirklich vorangehen. 420, 417.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
437, ist das nicht meiner? Nee. 437.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
415.
Now, back to door number 437.
Okay.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Scheiße, warte mal. Welche Tür war 417, ne?
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
419?
Yes, this is great. You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
So, die ist hier.
We've almost got it. Now the copy machine, do that one again. Finish it off, Stanley. 5 clicks on door 430. Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today.
Okay, also wenn ihr die Trophäe auch bekommen wollt, klickt einfach 5-mal auf die Tür 430 und danach einfach folgen, was er sagt. Jetzt sehen wir uns wieder, wenn ich durch die linke Tür gegangen bin, durchs Büro und so auch alles, und wir kurz vor dem Raum unten wieder sind. Da gehen wir dann mal den Escape noch lang.
Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Okay, die Musik kommt hier gerade, weil ich bin hier reingelaufen und habe direkt
die Kombination eingegeben.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
So, dann bis gleich. So, hier sind wir. Diesmal gehen wir aber eben nicht geradeaus, sondern hier nach links.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Das werden wir sehen.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Sind wir jetzt wirklich tot?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Okay.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ja, das hier ist unser Büro. Da haben wir gestartet. Und das hier ist unser Büro. Und da hinten ist halt die Doppeltür, sag ich mal, wo wir uns entscheiden müssen. Okay. Aber wir gehen mal nach links. Schlachtfeld. Okay, da waren wir auf jeden Fall noch nicht. Also der Weg ist auch ein bisschen Spoiler. Okay. Da gibt es wohl auch 4 Optionen im Meetingraum, wo wir lang gehen. Das war der erste Trailer, den sie zu diesem Spiel gemacht haben. Hier haben wir unseren Raum in 4 verschiedenen Sachen. Ach nee, das war das erste Büro, was sie überhaupt gemacht haben. Dann haben sie dies gemacht und zum Schluss haben sie das jetzt gemacht. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich alles angeguckt habe, aber wir gehen mal weiter.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Das fand ich jetzt auch cool. Dass sie gesagt hat, wir können dem Spiel nur entkommen, wenn ich das Spiel einfach schließe.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja, zum Meetingraum gehen wir jetzt auf jeden Fall mal. Da gab es anscheinend auch mehrere Wege.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Weil der normale Weg irgendwie auch noch einen anderen Weg. Oder reden die von einem anderen Meetingraum?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
So, wir gehen jetzt noch einmal hoch, aber wir gehen jetzt nicht hier nach links, sondern nach rechts. Fahren wir jetzt hoch oder runter? Wir fahren mal hoch. Okay, ich habe gerade festgestellt, der Fahrstuhl, der macht einfach nur Geräusche und spielt da eben die Musik ab. Da passiert einfach gar nichts. Ich war jetzt bestimmt so 10 Minuten drin, habe dann nochmal auf den Knopf gedrückt und jetzt sind wir wieder hier beim Büro vom Chef. Und wie man sieht, ist nichts passiert. Somit würde ich aber... Also von der Tür kommen wir. Somit würde ich aber sagen, das war's mit der ersten Folge von The Stanley Parabel Ultra Deluxe Edition. Ich hoffe, ihr freut euch schon auf die nächste Folge. Schreibt mir gerne ein paar Hinweise in die Kommentare, falls ihr irgendein besonderes Ende sehen wollt, was ich mal machen soll. Weil ich hatte da auch gesehen, dass es irgendwie, ich glaube, 42 Endings in diesem Spiel gibt. Also da kann man schon ein bisschen was machen. Und dann würde ich mal sagen, tschüss.